In high school, popularity can feel like survival. For Christine Paolilla, it felt like oxygen. For years, she was invisible, mocked, ignored, defined by something she couldn't control. And then, almost overnight, everything changed. Friends, attention, admiration, a new identity. She went from being bullied to being crowned. But here's the thing no one saw coming. The people who lifted her up would later die by her hand. Not strangers, not enemies, her best friends. This isn't a story about jealousy alone, or drugs alone, or love gone wrong. This is a story about transformation, obsession, and how badly someone can lose themselves once they finally feel accepted. Part 1. The Girl Who Finally Belonged. Christine Paolilla grew up in Clear Lake, Texas, carrying a burden most teenagers never have to think about. She suffered from alopecia, a condition that caused her to lose her hair. In a place where image mattered, it made her a target. Classmates stared. Some whispered. Others were cruel. Christine retreated inward, painfully aware that she didn't fit the mold. By her early teens, she was deeply insecure, socially isolated, and desperate to be seen as normal. Everything changed in 2002. Christine befriended two popular girls at school, Rachel Gonzalez and Tiffany Rowell. They did what no one else had done before. They included her. They taught her how to dress, how to apply makeup, how to choose wigs that looked natural. They treated her like a project, but also like a friend. And it worked. Christine transformed, not just her appearance, but her status. She started getting attention, compliments, invitations. She went from being invisible to being admired. By senior year, she was voted Miss Irresistible. For the first time in her life, Christine felt powerful, but belonging came with pressure. She became terrified of losing the version of herself people finally accepted. And that fear, quiet at first, would eventually turn into something much darker. After graduation in 2003, Christine met Christopher Snyder, a 21-year-old with a criminal past, drug problems, and a reputation as a bad boy. To Christine, he represented rebellion, danger, and adult validation. Their relationship quickly became intense and unhealthy. They used drugs together. They fought constantly. They fed each other's worst impulses. Snyder was aggressive and controlling. Christine became increasingly erratic, caught between wanting approval and wanting escape. Money became a problem, so did drugs. And that's when the idea surfaced. They believed Tiffany had access to money and drugs through her boyfriend. To Christine, it probably felt justified, twisted logic built on entitlement and resentment. These weren't just her friends anymore. They were obstacles. Part 2. The Night Everything Ended. On a night in July 2003, Christine and Snyder went to Tiffany's house. Inside were Tiffany, Rachel, and two young men who were hanging out casually, unaware that anything was wrong. The mood was normal, relaxed, familiar, until it wasn't. Snyder pulled out a gun. Panic exploded in seconds. The room shifted from laughter to terror. People froze, trying to understand if this was a joke, until it became clear it wasn't. Then Christine did something no one expected. She pulled out a gun of her own. The same girls who had helped her feel beautiful now stared down the barrel of a weapon she was holding. What happened next was fast and irreversible. Snyder shot the two young men. Christine turned her gun on Rachel and Tiffany. There was no struggle, no argument, just execution. At one point, Christine returned to the room to make sure one of her friends was dead, and then she left. What makes this case especially chilling is what Christine did afterward. She went to work. She clocked in for her shift at Walgreens, acting normal, interacting with customers, blending back into everyday life, while her friends lay dead behind her. The murders stunned the community. Two popular girls killed in their own home. No forced entry, no clear motive, no immediate suspects. The case went cold. Christine faded into the background again, but not with guilt, with addiction. She spiraled deeper into heroin use and eventually entered rehab. And that's where the truth began to crack. Confession, collapse, and capture. In rehab, Christine met someone new, not a detective, not a journalist, but another patient. And to that person, she confessed. At first, it sounded unbelievable, but the details were too specific, too precise. Still, nothing happened immediately. Christine left rehab. She married a man she met during treatment. She tried, at least on the surface, to build a new life. Then in 2004, she saw something that changed everything. A news report. The cold case murders of Tiffany Roll and Rachel Gonzalez were back in the spotlight. Police sketches appeared on television. Christine watched, and she broke. She confessed everything to her husband. Instead of going to the police, they ran. For 7 months, Christine and her husband disappeared, moving between motels, funding their escape with ATM withdrawals, sinking deeper into drugs and paranoia. Meanwhile, the friend from rehab finally went to authorities. The police followed the money trail. In 2005, Christine Paolilla was arrested at a motel. When Christopher Snyder heard the news, he took his own life before he could be arrested. Christine stood alone. At trial, the evidence was overwhelming. Her confessions, witnesses, financial records. She was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. No parole. Christine Paolilla wanted what so many people want, to feel accepted, admired, loved. But somewhere along the way, that desire twisted into entitlement and then into violence. This case isn't just about murder. It's about identity, about insecurity, about what happens when someone mistakes popularity for worth. 2 young women lost their lives. A community lost its sense of safety. And Christine Paolilla lost everything she thought she'd gained. Because the glow-up didn't save her. It destroyed her.